We are expanding next door to the corner spot, which is 446, I believe, 2nd Street North, and the corner of 5th Avenue North and 2nd Street North. And we're expanding to become a market, adding to our loft space here at Must Wine. And the market will be basically pretty much a curated grocery, deli, and wine store. The loft will stay the loft. It will be more focused on pinchos, tapas, and also wine and vermouth spritzers, and wines by the glass and by the bottle, obviously.
For me, it's maybe looking back 50, 60 years where I grew up, where you had the little store where you go to that somebody help you pick the ripe fruit, somebody help you pick the best produce, somebody help you pick the right cheese for the day, and maybe remember your name or your first name, and make it feel like you have somebody that is a friend and you can ask about the product, about the experience we're gonna have.
We want to kind of highlight everything that we have here in Florida, particularly here in St. Pete, because we do have a lot of great artisan makers here, but we are European inspired. So we are kind of traditionalist in that aspect, that we really appreciate the way that good cheeses, good meats are made and crafted, and how produce should taste, and how things should be experienced.
Well, obviously, we'd love to have you come and see us and have a glass of wine with us or a cup of coffee and talk with us. And even if you don't have that much to buy, just come and take a look. It's going to be interesting.
Hi, we're live. We are here at Must Wine Loft, and we're here for learning to flight number 64. And tonight we've got Todd Smith as our special guest, and he is fresh back from Spain. So we're going to be sharing pictures and experiences of Todd's travels to Spain. So, and we are here. We've got wine and some wine and some conservas and some chorizo, all the good things that Spain's known for. So, my name is Jessica Arkwright. I am the founder and sommelier here at Must Wine Loft, and this is Chef Raymond Coulteret, and he is the cheese to the wine. And like we said, this is Todd Smith, and he is here with some imports. So, yeah. So let's get into this.
Okay.
Todd, if you can hand us the wine.
Sure.
We're going to start out with Albarino. I'll pour it if you want to start talking.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you guys. All right, let me put my little banners on. There we go.
This was one of our last stops on the trip, actually. Lagarda Costa is the winery, family-owned winery. They've been in this spot for over 100 years. I can see why they wouldn't want to leave, because it was gorgeous. The vineyards go right up to the beach, to the coast, actually. Not the Atlantic directly, but like an intercoastal waterway. And then there's a little strip, and then the Atlantic's on the other side. But some of the most beautiful vineyards I saw in the whole process in Spain. Kind of mind-blowing. We actually took a long walk along the coast after walking through the vineyards down to the water, and then walked along the coast. There was like a bird preserve, and it really reminded me of Fort DeSoto in a huge way for the locals here anyway. I was like, oh, I'm home. I'm like, thank you. Felt so good. Spain's so mountainous. Like, I had no idea. There's so many freaking mountains in Spain. I had no idea. They're everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's mountains. So to get to the coast finally was refreshing, and to smell the salt air, and just see this gorgeous vineyard. I think you're going to get a slideshow. I'm not sure at what point.
I'm going to try and make that happen right now.
Okay. But there's some amazing photos of this vineyard. I probably took twice as many photos of Lagarda Costa than anywhere else, because it was just unbelievably pretty day. It was really, really pretty. And they have the trellis vines. You'll see some photos here.
I have to move it so you can see it.
With the canopy. We had lunch under the canopy, under the vines, which was really amazing. But the wines are amazing. This is the birthplace of Albarino.
just need to monitor
in
to face
Spain.
me.
This is where it started.
Sorry, thank you.
We got an inception going.
Trying to show you guys.
Technical
So
difficulties.
all their vines that they have are carried on from over 100 years ago. So they're not all 100-year-old vines, but they kept going from the original vines that they had 100 years ago. Yeah, this is the Duelas Albarino from Lagarda Costa. They make a couple different Albarinos, but this is my favorite. It's got some lees aging to it. It's got some richness. It's a full-bodied Albarino. It's not light and watery at all. A lot of Albarino you see will have consistent, year after year, will have the same alcohol by volume on the label, like 12.5, 12.5, 12.5. That's almost impossible with nature. It is. It's just almost impossible. That means they're adding water at some point to get the alcohol percentage down to 12.5. They are. That's what they're doing, and they don't do that here. They don't. Every year they deal with what they get from nature, and whatever the alcohol comes out at, it comes out at. I don't know what this is at.
This says, and I don't have my glasses on, but 13%.
Yeah, 13%. And that can vary vintage to vintage, and they're not going to water it down just to get it down to 12.5. I mean, that's how you do that. You add water.
Also, this particular bottle says bottled 01. So does that mean this is the very first bottle that they bottled?
No, that can't be. Bottled in 2001.
No, because it's a 2020 vintage. Is that what it makes?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why.
That's a good question,
I never
right?
noticed that.
Random. I was just like, what in the world? Sorry.
Well, it could have sat in tank for 6 months though,
Yeah.
and then put in the bottle in the beginning of the year. You know.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that means.
Right.
But bottled in.
At the first
Bottled
quarter
in
or
2001.
something. Yeah.
So it's fresh. Like
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Huh? 21. Yeah.
So anyway, to go with that beautiful Albarino, we have something that comes from the coast of Spain too. It's that little jar you got with you. It's a spider crab conserva. It's similar. I would say it's similar to maybe a kind of a fish dip in Florida, but without the mayonnaise, which is a big difference because the mayonnaise would make it go bad like in no time at all.
Yeah.
This is actually bound together with some butter and some powdered eggs and some spices and preserved. So it's a shelf stable product. It's like almost like a pate, but made from seafood and from fish. So it's nice. It's a nice item to have with a Albarino because Albarino goes good with all kind of
Seafood. It's a seafood wine, in my opinion.
clams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's also nice with a little pepper. Then we've added to the kit, which has sweet peppers, the sweet route from Italy. They kind of have a nice tanginess to them, so it's kind of balanced, like you would do with meat pate. You would do cornichon. With this is nice to have with the seafood. So I'm going to pass it around. That's a product that actually Todd's company bring into with the wine straight from Spain. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a little different product because I'll pass the thing around. And it has a nice consistency to it. The only close thing I can think of in the state would be like a salmon mousse that they do, and then it's like a pate too. But it's the spider crab has a lot more. She didn't yet.
She'll find it.
So, but it's a very nice. And then we have those little peppers.
Yeah, that's-
We love the sweet drop peppers
I love
here.
those things.
Yeah, they're so
So
good. Jinx. Yeah. Yeah, so Todd, I put up the picture that you sent me of I love this picture of the table in the vineyards.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
That's
what
what-
you guys
well,
like walked into.
I said
like,
we took our hike along the waterfront.
yeah.
And saw their old vineyards and their new vineyards along the way, and made this loop back. And we came back, and this wasn't set up before we left. So we came back from our hike, and I saw the table, and I'm like, I knew it. Like, I knew we were going to be eating lunch under the vines. Like, because this is the only vineyard we visited that had these,
Yeah.
the canopy, that had this growing like this. And they do it to keep the grapes cooler,
Right.
so they don't get too hot during the day. They need that shade because this is full on sun. Yeah. So they need that shade, and from what I understand, it helps with mold and mildew as well. They do spray. They have to because they're right on the water. Like they're right on the coast. They spray sulfur to keep the mold and mildew down. Sulfur's not a bad thing. It's
Right.
a natural element. It's part of the earth. They're just using that element to keep mold and mildew down.
Yeah.
But it was a gorgeous lunch. As soon as I sat down at that table, I'm like, I'm taking my shoes off. Because you could see there's nice grass under there.
Yeah.
And it was cold. I'm like, oh man, it felt so good.
Yeah.
And we had a great lunch under the vines. It was amazing.
That
It was
looks,
amazing.
that looks
I
like a
didn't-
little
none of us
green luncheon.
wanted to leave this place. And they have a small hotel at this winery that they just added on like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was just their family house and the winery, small winery. They expanded the winery and added on like a 8 or 12 room hotel. Just a little side strip, you know.
Yeah.
But the family still like private residence on certain doors, like you don't go in that door, you know. That
Right.
kind of thing.
Aw.
So it's totally still a family run, and like I said, I could see why they would not leave this place. It's beautiful. I wouldn't leave either, but we had to come back.
And then, did you already talk about the snails?
Oh, the snails on the.
Because I put that picture up there
Is
too,
that
because I
up
thought,
there too?
yeah,
Oh, it
because I
is,
thought that
okay.
was
I
so
didn't see it on the
cool.
side
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are like snails on the
when
trees.
we were walking through the
on the vines.
through the vines, heading down to the water. Actually, I was like, look at this, man.
Yeah,
So nature's happy here. You know?
very much so.
They're not spraying pesticides and herbicides and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There were snails all over the vines. Like they were just happy to live here. And that's why I took that photo. I'm like, oh, look, see? Everything's getting along together here.
Oh,
So,
it seems to be always a lot of snail around vine
around
because
grapevines.
in Burgundy, that's
Yeah.
like the main staple there is
Sure.
escargot that you
Oh,
snail that you eat. And usually right
they're
after
picking
the
them off the
rain.
vines? Like,
Well, right after the rain, you usually go and you bring like dozens and dozens of snail, and they're big ones.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
these.
These are pretty big.
These are
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
These are
Yeah,
pretty
they're like,
big.
they look like they're like this big. Yeah.
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like this big.
Like $50.
So they're,
You know,
yeah, so
yeah.
they're regular.
But I know like in the northern part of Spain and by the Basque country, they do the snail right on the outside fire. They just put them on the fire and then make a sauce with tomatoes and piquillos, and that goes with it.
Just saute them real quick. Like,
You cook them in the shell.
Yeah.
oh, right.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
right on the wood fire.
Wow.
So it's not the same way they do it in France. Certain southern part of France do that, and they call it cargolat, but they do that in Spain a lot more than they do in France.
Yeah.
But they are all very good. They're very edible too. I
Yeah.
guess from being around the vine all the time, they have a nice flavor.
They've gotten a little fat and juicy,
Yeah.
plump, and delicious. Just saying. Yeah. Cool. I will see if we have any questions. We have 3 comments, so let me see. All right. Sandra says, hi, Todd. And we said happy Wednesday to everyone. So, so cool. All right, well, let's move on to number 2. I'll trade you. Now we're gonna go to Bierzo, otherwise known as Bierzo. Awesome. We're gonna have some Godeo. Which one is yours? This one. The white glass.
Oh, we have 2 glasses.
Yeah, we have 2, one for our red and one for our white. We don't really need it, but I put it that way. You know. So,
These ones are so.
welcome to Madai.
These ones are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I always love it's they're just such a pretty label. It's a nice clean label and just delicious wines. So let's go. We'll go there next. And I will go back to my screen share. Hopefully go to the next one.
Close.
All right, so tell us about this one next, please. So now we're going to Madai.
So Madai, in the heart of BRSL, they do Godeo for their white, they do Mencia for their red. Pretty much 100%. There's some little bit of experimental stuff going on, but that's mainly what they do there. We got there late that day, but it worked out because it was gorgeous with the sun just in the afternoon sun just starting to go down, not going down. Actually, we were touring the vineyards late in the day, and it was going down. Some of the old line vineyards. I don't know what photos they sent. As we go through.
Sorry, we're double screening it over here, so I'm trying to swivel us.
But these are small production, stainless steel fermented wines. No oak involved here at all. Brothers that still make this family wine in a gorgeous valley. It's really, really pretty. Yeah, the photos. You got the photos there. So it was a nice laid back afternoon. We actually ate a little bit first, tasted some wines first, and then toured the vineyards because we arrived late that day for several reasons. It was a late day that day, but it worked out because we had great light in the afternoon for some awesome photos.
Yeah, you got some great photos.
And a great tour. Yeah.
Well, in Spain, you cannot leave late.
Everything is late.
Everything is late.
Yeah.
Everything is late. Well, we were supposed to be there at like 11 or noon, and we were like 2 hours late.
Well, that's
And so they're like, let's have some Godeo, and then we're gonna eat a little bit, and then we'll go tour the vineyards. I'm like, you guys are awesome. I'm like, yeah. Let's have a late lunch, you know, yeah. And then we'll come back and have dinner and espresso later, like 10 o'clock or whatever, you know, that's whatever. But
Yeah.
it was like that a lot, but we were behind schedule that day. It worked out. It worked out pretty good. Brothers that run this winery, the Gonzalo brothers run this winery. All these people, everybody had the biggest smiles. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
It was really ridiculous. And they all have like 2 or 3 degrees, by the way, too.
Yeah.
All these winemakers, yeah.
That's what it
Well,
seems like
they go after, you know,
They study
they go
hard.
do what they want to do for school.
Yeah.
And then they go learn oniology like after. You know, they learn, you know, they go to school for winemaking after. If they
Right.
once they get it at 1 degree, they're like, okay, well, I get another one. You know, so they go get another one. And they've already had the vineyards in the family. So, you know, they're just
So it's just like, it's
not
a
all of them do
natural
that, but a lot.
progression of
It was a
like,
nice theme with all the guys, all the winemakers I was meeting. I'm like, these are all high functioning people.
Yeah.
You know, and winemaking, you know, it takes a lot of time. In the certain spots of the year, it takes a lot of your time. But you don't have to do it 24/7. I mean, you got to let the grapes grow for a long time.
Right.
So then you got 3 months to go do whatever. You can just leave them alone and like
You
you have your
should.
vineyard guys do your things. You know, you're just leaving them alone. So it's not a full time job anyway. You know, so it's good that they have a lot of things to do. With Madai, we also met their label designer and graphic guy, Pablo. I hope I got your name right, Pablo. He was awesome. We hit it off. We talked a lot. Yeah. He was a blast. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Anyway, this is their Godeo.
oh, you broke into my juice.
Oh, you guys get cheesy.
yeah, but
Godeo, if you don't know the grape, I would say medium-bodied, very textural mouthfeel. Kind of has a waxiness to it, which I like on the palate. Clean. There's again no oak on this wine at all. Small production, 1,000 cases. Like not a lot of this wine around the world at all, really. Same with the Mencia. Pretty wine, and a good, really great food wine as well, actually.
yeah.
If you drink a lot of Chardonnay, not California Chardonnay because it's too much sugar. But if you drink, this has the body of Chardonnay with the crispness of you know, maybe close to Sauvignon Blanc. I don't want to fully say that, but a little bit. Cleanness of Sauvignon Blanc, body of Chardonnay, good minerality.
I almost like for me, Godot almost reminds me a little bit like you've got those other like kind of indigenous varietals to those areas, which is like Chenin Blanc in South Africa, Viognier for France.
Yeah.
And that's what this reminds me of. Like those, that's where I put that
Yeah.
in that same kind of category. I know Viognier is a little bit more oily and it has more texture,
I
like
think
body,
it's got
but
less acidity than
Let's
Chenin.
say, yeah,
yeah,
It's not
it's in between those.
Yeah.
Is where I'm going with that.
yeah. It's hard to compare grapes.
It is, because
Especially
they're
in
very
different
different.
areas.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Try a Godeo if you haven't tried
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then
That's our point.
try it with,
With Manchego.
with a piece of manchego.
It's really good.
This one is a warm milk manchego. It's a 1 year old.
It's really good.
It's artisanal made, so it's
So good.
basically made. And it's not made in a big factory.
Still, I don't have it.
The cheese is first formed and the curd are made right by where the shepherds are up in the mountain. They usually have like a lab on the side of where they sleep, and they make the cheese right there, and then it sit there and dry, and then they take it down to the regular cheese sellers, and they make. So this one is 1 year old when it leaves there. So we get it. Certainly, it's like 12, 13 months by the time we get it. Anyway, the nice thing is it's artisanal cheese, so it's not vacuum packed in a closed plastic, so it can breathe and it keeps aging as we receive it. It's not wrapped in anything. It's just wrapped in its own wine, basically, which is what actually helps the cheese aging because it's in contact with the air still. So it only gets better. It's just like a palm. It's like a palm. The more it ages, the better. Up to 3 years, you can age those cheese. So it has a nice sharpness from the sheep milk, and I think that and a little bit of oiliness. So it kind of balances real nice with the wine. I think it just brings out the flavor of the cheese from the wine.
So we do the Manchego a lot because we have a really great Manchego here. But I really like how this is a different experience than a lot of the other whites that we've done or the reds that we've done with Manchego. It actually brings out kind of like that nuttiness and waxiness almost more to me than I normally get. And it does make it taste more like a Parmesan, like you're saying.
Yeah,
like you get that agedness.
It brings that oily thing out of it too.
Yeah.
The parent's perfect.
It's good with the olive too.
Yeah.
The herbs from the olives
Either one of these by themselves,
are good.
they're great, but together they're fantastic.
And then I added a little bit of
really good.
vegetable flavor with the olives because olives are always nice with a sharp manchego. It's kind of the salt balance out too, and the wine from the olive. So it makes it juicier too with the olive.
Juicier.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Same thing with just the cheese in the wine, actually. The cheese brought out the juiciness in the wine. You know, that's why I was going back.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap!
It
Like
makes it's almost like it makes your
salty
tongue sweat.
cheese. You know? Yeah. And then the wine is just like so much more delicious with the cheese.
Yeah.
It's pretty surprising.
Oh, it does.
I'm always amazed when I do these. 'Cause I don't do it enough. I know. You know.
That's why we love having guests.
Yeah.
And love
And
introducing everyone to
normally I'm
this is
very
why we do
free,
this.
so-
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need
This
a
is
lot of
why we
dairy
do
in
this,
general.
is to introduce you all. And encourage you to experiment and try new things.
It's a sheep milk, so it doesn't have any lactose in it.
Right.
Right.
It's lactose free, so
Right.
Sheep and
It's
goat,
actually-
I'm much
and
better.
that's what we have.
Yeah.
It's the cow area
Yeah.
that gets me a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay. I went through Spain.
Yeah.
I had no problems with all the food.
We don't have any cows in
It's so
this
natural.
flight tonight.
Yeah.
It's like,
No cows have been harmed in this flight tonight.
no?
Just saying. No cows at all. All we have is We have crabs, we have spider crab, we have pork, we have goat, and we have sheep. But we have no cows tonight.
It's a bad
So-
tasting.
Well, you know.
It's bad vegan. It's terrible.
We're not vegans here,
No.
clearly.
No questions?
But no questions yet. No questions yet. I think. Do you guys have any questions for us yet? Enjoying everything so far? Good. All right. Cool. We'll go. Now we're going to move on to our reds. So it's up to you if you want to switch your glasses. You have another glass for your red if you want. It's up to you. I'm just going to put mine over here. Put it down. Do you want me to grab your white glasses so that you don't confuse them? Raymond's king and yours. I can almost reach, but it would be a little bit awkward for me. Okay, and so same winery, same region, same producer, different grape, and now we're going red. So now we've got the Menthia. I know. So yeah, so in Spain you pronounce C's as TH, so it's Menthia instead of Mencia. So if you're here in the US, you can say Mencia. We're not going to judge you. Just say Mencia. It doesn't matter. I know what you're talking about. But if I'm in Spain, I'm going to say Mencia because that's how it, like how it was introduced to me. And I feel like the same way when people tell you their name, I like to hear it like, I want to hear how you pronounce your name. It's the same sort of thing. And I will pronounce your name like that from now on. Bierzo. So this is northwestern, and it's basically what we're doing is mostly northern Spain. So we're starting out at the very top tip of northwestern Spain over Portugal. And then we're kind of like traveling into the Catalan. Right now we're like in Basque country, very much so. And so that was one of the things he was saying. That's why he was commenting on the next morning, because he got himself into trouble having too much, like not going out, but having fun drinking at the tapas country. Because that's what Basque country is all about, is the muchos de tapas. So that's where we're at. So we're in Castile.
Oh, I got too. Yeah. Oh, but
And I noticed in the Catalan region, they do pronounce the C's as TH.
Exactly.
And I was told it was because there was a king years ago when he was
getting down to fruit.
who had a list.
Yes.
And
That's the story I have heard too. Exactly. Yes, that's the story I heard too, is that the king who had the lisp, and so he pronounced the C's with the TH. And so everyone does it that way, kind of as a respect to the king.
Right.
And so that's how, but that's so funny because I forgot about that story until you said that. So thank you for the reminder. In the history lesson, for you all. So yeah, so I love Mencia because it kind of reminds me of like a Pinot Noir, in between Pinot Noir and Gamay. But there's a smokiness to it. That's fun, in my opinion. So I'm going to show you guys this. Let me get back over to my other screen.
That's Vino Acabra, which is actually soaked in that type of wine.
Oh, nice.
From Spain. It's goat cheese. It's like
All right.
a bit like pumpkin.
It's red wine.
That was
Goat cheese.
this. So
It's
I'm going to say this. I was neglecting my screen, my slideshow. I apologize. These are pictures of I put the wrong picture on. No.
It's
The wrong picture. Sorry. I'm ahead of myself. Let me go back. So
That's Minty. That's Madai.
That's Madai,
Yeah.
and then this also is where we're at right now. So, and then this is the Godeo grapes, right?
Yeah.
So those are the Godeo grapes that you guys are seeing there on your screen. And that's Todd standing in the vineyards over at Madai, basically. Oh, you cut your foot?
I had flip flops on. I wasn't ready for.
I was so jealous of your picture because when I went in May,
Yeah.
all I brought with me was one pair of heels and a pair of flip flops because I live in Florida, and I ended up having to trek through all of the vineyards in my heels. Which, I mean, they were awesome heels, don't get me wrong. Thank God they were. They proved to be awesome heels because of that. But because it was so rocky and it was cold and rainy and like, I wish I would have.
We had the perfect weather.
Oh my God,
It
you
was
totally
perfect.
did. Look at this.
The whole trip, it was perfect weather. Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
But the week
So,
before, it
the
was
time to
freezing
go
cold.
to Spain
Like,
is August,
yeah.
apparently.
Just go walking.
Yeah. No, the week before it was like.
Definitely
No,
don't go
it
in
was super
May.
hot. It was like 96 degrees the week before. And I
Yes.
was like, oh shit.
And that's
I wanna
why.
be-
That's why I know my battery is about to die, and that's not good. Since we're using my battery. Tom, I might have to switch gears and have you drive because my battery might die, and I don't want to lose this stream.
Yeah, they had a heat wave the week before I was there. So
'Cause I have it all-
flip-flops and shorts and like light stuff to wear. And then we got there, it was just perfect. We had perfect weather. We got lucky. We nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the mountains, sometimes they will go at night.
Yeah, well, and he's like, bring a
Hey.
jacket or a
It's in the house,
flannel
right?
or something, you know. So I didn't bring a jacket, but I brought a flannel, a couple flannels, you know,
Yeah.
in case we got cool at night. And it was fine. Days were warm. Days were sunny and warm. Spain does get a lot of sun. It's very
Yeah.
true. It's very
Well,
true.
you in the summertime.
And it was-
12% rating.
and, well, yeah, it doesn't get dark till 10 o'clock.
We're on
Oh, yeah.
number 3.
I'm like,
We have to hurry.
I thought I got really dark in Florida.
Yeah.
No way.
I know.
It's even worse when you go
Sorry.
Light and
All right,
dark.
so we have to hurry this up because I'm gonna run out of battery space, so I apologize. I'm gonna bring my charger next time because I didn't realize. Yeah, exactly. So we're on number 3, and this is delicious. So talk to us about the cheese, please.
Okay,
Cheese, please.
the cheese is actually
You
soaked
guys
in
will
that same
dialogue
kind
after
of wine. That's what it's getting the color from. It's called Cabra Vino. It's a goat cheese. It's like kind of a soft goat cheddar that is actually soaked for up
It's
to
just wine on the rye.
3 to 4 days
Yeah.
in that wine, and they also do some inclusion by poking holes in the cheese so the cheese can go inside. That's why it's marbleized, and the flavor goes inside the cheese, and then it's aged for 2 to 3 months, and it's very, very mellow. It's very creamy, like because the goat milk is actually very creamy always. That's the milk that is. It doesn't taste like butter like certain milk. It tastes like cream, and I love it because it's very mellow, but the wine kind of bring it a little bit of toughness to it, and it goes real good because it's a wine and it's so thin, so it's basically there's no way to go wrong there, and it adds a lot to the cheese, and I think it brings a little bit of that creaminess to the wine too, as you drink it together. So
It does. It's not like these tannins in this wine were not silky to begin with, but it actually adds like a silky earness to kind of the same way that the Manchego did that with the Godeo, and it makes I called it like making your tongue sweat. You know, it makes your palate juicier, and that just kind of like makes everything kind of like go down and become like silkier and softer, in my opinion. It softens it, but highlights it and juices it. Yeah. Which is basically your palate's way of saying thank you. Yeah. You know, dogs smile, so do our mouths, our stomachs, and all of it.
That was one thing on the Spain trip. We never had wine without food.
Yeah. Same.
Never. Like
Yep.
at every winery, like they don't serve you a tasting of wine without food.
Right.
Like whether it's just this, like cheese and cured meats, stuff they can just slice and throw out on a table.
it's
But it
just-
was always that way, and it was every tasting.
Yeah.
Like we walk through vineyards at certain wineries, and they walk around a corner, and there's a table set up because they were fancy like this.
Yeah.
And there'd be sardines and a white wine. And then we walk to another table, 10 minutes away, and there'd be, another white wine and something like figs or whatever, whatever,
Yeah.
like whatever they had planned out. But every time we had wine, there was also food, like every time, 100%. We're not used to that here in America. We're not, but it's great. You should really follow this.
We used
It
to
works
eat,
well.
yeah. So
We like dieting here in America.
Well, they also,
I don't like that.
don't eat a huge breakfast.
Yeah.
No,
they
they eat a
don't.
big lunch and a
Yeah.
big dinner, and that's
They do
pretty
food
much
different.
it. And they're
Yeah.
really spread out, like they're like 8 hours apart.
Yeah.
So they eat dinner at 10 p.m.
And it's also a very social thing anyway.
It's very social. Yes.
So
Yep.
you
Yeah.
share it with a lot of people.
Yep.
It's not just eating to subside.
No.
Yeah.
Eating to have fun,
No.
to enjoy wine, to enjoy the company of people. So it's a big difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's.
And we were so spoiled on the trip. I mean, these meals were gigantic compared to what I'm used to here. So we didn't snack during the day. Like I had a bag of nuts in my backpack, but that was just in case I got starving or something.
Yeah.
But because we knew it was coming. So we were like, we eat a small breakfast, have some espresso, and then wait like 6 hours for lunch, or whatever, because we knew lunch was going to be huge.
Yeah.
And then if there was a dinner too, it was going to be ridiculous. So yeah, it's so much food. Food was insane.
So and we're gonna get to it with the next pairing. But one of the things that you talk about that, and that's how I felt, and I was introduced to the best chorizo that I had ever actually had in my life when I finally went over to Spain, and it actually showed me how the American version of chorizo is really not chorizo.
It's not the same.
It's just we put that label on it, and I don't even think that we should have that right to do that because it's not the same. Whereas Spanish chorizo really is a totally different experience.
completely
Same with
In
the
ferment,
All-
which is
all
what
of
we're
it.
going to do,
Yeah.
all of it,
All
yeah.
the meats.
Yeah.
Because the moisture content, we have to. That's what I learned anyways.
Right.
They have to cut it down to nothing to import it basically to America. But over there, it's 75% moisture content, but it's
So,
Oh, it's not even plugged in for charging.
no, that's the problem
Yeah.
right now.
So Anthony said you were like. Sorry. But it's okay.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I killed my laptop. I didn't realize how much this was all going to drain. And I do apologize, we're not going to be able to show you the rest of the slides. But we have Todd here. So he can talk about them. And I will post pictures on our Facebook page tomorrow so you can see the photos for this week's flight tomorrow. So if anyone's watching this tonight, tomorrow, joining us, you'll see the rest of the videos. Number 4. So, are we done with number 3? Sounds like pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll trade you. Alrighty.
Yeah, I didn't realize all about that.
How did your class go in? Yeah, in your lap.
Are we doing 4?
Yes.
Number 4 now.
Number 4 now, sorry.
In
It's
between,
just not gonna show you guys that unfortunately, because it's not attached to mine.
in between the billing, we set some Spanish almonds there to kind of clear your mouth with it. Those are there's a smoked paprika from Spain on them.
Really?
And they're just some of the best almonds.
Hot paprika, not smoked.
Yeah,
Hot paprika,
paprika.
not smoked.
Not smoked?
Not
No.
smoked. No, it's not smoked. That's why I'm clarifying that. Because I don't want, yeah, they are, but smoked is in hot are different. So I just want to clarify, it's not smoked paprika, it is hot paprika. So. Because you get a totally different, yeah. So let's talk about the wine.
So this is Bodegas Sierra. This was one of my favorite towns to visit, actually, in Spain. The town is La Bastida. Tiny, all these towns are tiny compared to what we know here in America. These are tiny towns. La Bastida is amazing and home to Carlos Fernandez, who makes this wine in Rioja Alavesa, which is not Rioja, which is the northernmost and the best land and the best vineyards in Rioja. It's a very special, small area.
On a plateau.
Very much. High
Highest
elevation.
elevation.
And up in all these gorgeous mountains that Spain has. And his family's been tending to some of these vineyards for over 100 years. He was named by Tim Atkin's report, if you follow ratings and reviews and stuff, 2021 Rioja Wine Grower of the Year. He's doing amazing work. This is his entry-level red, the El Primavera Tempranillo, 100% Tempranillo. Sees a little bit of both. Can't tell you how much. It's probably like 3 or 4 months. It's not a lot.
Kiss.
He doesn't use much at all. He really tries to let the wines and the land and the grapes speak for themselves.
And the oak that he uses is probably neutral or
Neutral French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not new American.
No.
So he doesn't want to have that.
He's got some high-end wines that he might be using the new barrels for,
Yeah,
but
right.
No.
But that's for them
yeah,
specifically.
not on these wines. He's got a whole line of wines that there's like no. I'm going to show you next week. That there's barely no oak at all,
Yeah.
and they're all concrete egg fermentation, and they're gorgeous. Just really, really, really pretty wines. They're not cheap, but they're really good. And they're small batch crafted, beautiful wines. They just are. And Carlos is amazing. He was a great host. The place was gorgeous. I ran through the town one morning. I got to get my morning run in. And the hills are different.
Yeah.
I'm used to running along the water here in North Shore Park,
And
like
the
flat,
air is
you know.
different.
Yeah. Oh, and also elevation.
Everything.
We're at elevation, and I'm going up and down these
Yeah.
hills, and I'm like, this doesn't take as long. Sweating my ass off. I'm like, okay, good. Got my run in. That was done. But a great town, great family, great winery. This is their entry level red. We're going to get a lot more of their stuff in Florida soon. But their higher end stuff is they're not cheap wines. They get expensive pretty quickly because they're small batch and they're artisan crafted wines, and not a lot of them made. And from the best region in Rioja, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is known to be the best region
Yeah.
in Rioja.
Yeah.
So I
It's very serious. Did you include that photo in the?
I did. So that was actually that was a photo that I actually accidentally went to when we were
That's
talking
right.
about Mencia.
Yeah.
So you did actually get a sneak preview of Carlos
When he was leaning on the barrel there.
when Todd is talking about like how serious he is about like Rioja Alta Besa.
Yeah.
And like you see that picture of him like Alta Besa.
That was at Bodegas.
And I know that what he's talking about because like I know how those winemakers are in that region.
Yeah.
From going there too.
Well, and
different.
on the trip I learned
They're
all-
very proud of it, and they should be.
all these winemakers are friends. They
Yes.
all know each other.
Yeah.
Spain's not, and compared to Florida, it's about, it's about the same driving distance for Florida, basically, from like one major city to the other. They all know each other. So he went with us to Itzasmendi, which is the Basque Country central north. And that's where that photo was taken, was at Itzasmendi, the chocolate producer. And the chocolate, I forget his name, the guy there who's like the professor. This guy's like a college professor. His whole presentation was pristine.
Yeah.
And that's why he got so offended. Because he's like, and Carlos and Rioja, and he's like, Rioja a la mesa! Like, and just
It's
got
not just
pissed. Like,
Rioja.
and he's like shaking
It's
his
Rioja
head,
a
and he's
la
like,
mesa.
God damn it! Like,
Get it
Because-
right.
he's been fighting to get his
Yeah.
own DO, and
Yes.
like he wants to be designated as a special place,
Right.
and they should be.
Right.
So he was like, God damn it, get it right,
So just to give you all a comparison or a reference, it would be like what he's talking about and what Carlos is talking about. It would be like Prosecco is a very large region. Rioja is a very large region.
Yeah.
Within Prosecco, though, you have this one small area called Valdobbiadene. And Valdobbiadene is a DOCG region. And there's so few vineyards that grow and have like this special designation. And so that's what Carlos is talking about. That's what Todd's talking about. So he wants to become like the superior region of Rioja, basically. So and I agree with that. And most Psalms and most of us in this industry do agree with that because it is.
Carlos happy. We picked the best chorizo you can find in the world, which is Vermont, which is made from the Pata Negra pig, which are actually domesticated wild pig from way back in Spain, and they have that real dark meat. Now they do all the Pata Negra ham too, which is some of the most expensive cured ham in the world. And the reason for that is because first of all, the pigs are graded. They have to be only that breed. They basically grown out on free land, but they also have designation depending on how many oak trees are per acre on the property, because the last 6 to 9 months they eat acorn and nothing else. They're free on the field and they eat the acorn from the tree. That build up that fat in the pig. It gives that extra sweet fat to it. It also gives a little bit of nutty flavor and a real dark meat from being actually domesticated wild boar, basically. And then the curing is done for anywhere from, the minimum is 12 months curing for any of the pig. Some of the ham are cured up to 48 months before they even put them on the market. Those are the ones that usually cost you about 600 euro a kilo. So it's very expensive one, but they have different rate on depending if it's 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. And it's all done all naturally. They use On the chorizo, they use this one. They use the smoked chorizo with the smoked paprika for the coloring and for the flavor. But it's, I mean that
Smoked, not hot.
this one is
Now we're talking smoked.
you can tell by the taste too. And the fat is so buttery, it just melts in your mouth.
Yeah, it's like butter.
Yeah. So it's just beautiful, and that's perfect for that wine too.
I noticed that on the cured beets in Spain, the color was so much darker across the board with all the cured beets.
Well, they use different peaks for,
Yeah.
but that's the big difference.
Oh, we had some amazing. It's ridiculous. Then I go back. I'm like, God, it's not the same. So that's really good though. The chorizo is really good. Yeah, that's more of that. Thank you.
Is that the same as the Iberico ham?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Same acorns
Right,
fed.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we sell too.
Yes. Yeah.
We
And
got
we'll be
shoulders
bringing,
and legs.
yeah, and we'll be bringing that on when we expand. We just don't have the space or the demand yet.
We have the knives for the legs. I gotta check on the stands. But we might be able to provide a standard knife for you. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna spend $700 on a leg of ham. It's a lot. They're not cheap.
No,
$45 a pound.
Right.
So, yeah,
right.
it's expensive. But it's good.
Oh yeah.
You paper
My boss is
quality.
like, "Oh, in Spain, I skipped the Serrano." He's like, "I'm waiting for Bolota." So like, screw it. I'm not gonna get full on Serrano. I can have Bolota.
And I apologize, I am,
So I just
Well, Serrano's amazing too.
Sandra
I know. Yeah.
Sandra asked Todd, did you see any flamenco dancing?
No, we did not.
And I apologize, I was slow on the roll with we're on the fourth pairing, I did not mean to confuse you all, we are totally on the fourth pairing.
Oh,
And you did not get to see flamenco?
No, we didn't see any
That makes
flamenco
me
dance.
sad. That
Um,
was for me, like I think I told you, it made me cry. It brought like chills, tears, all of it. It is so emotional, it is so we
We were-
used to get that a little bit at ceviche downstairs.
Yeah.
But it is so different when you're like at a sharing house and they're there and it's just
Because of
like,
COVID, we couldn't do the bar parties, you know, and
yeah,
we were kind of locked. We were stuck in our group for the trip.
yeah,
So we weren't allowed to go in the bar up at night.
yeah.
Anything like that.
I'm gonna do our, cause we're pretty much done with this. We'll continue to bullshit with each other forever. But I'm gonna do just a little bit of housekeeping really fast because this is what we do every week. Or we try to, but not always because September kind of sucks for us here in Florida. So full disclosure, September's a weird month for us. It's our just least favorite. August and September is not fun because August is so hot and September the kids go back to school. So it's a weird time for us in Florida in the summertime. So October, kind of get back into and get excited about like the temperature changes, the beginning of a new season. We don't get very many seasons in Florida. We pretty much get two, hot or cold. And so when we get that first brisk of like cold air, we get very excited because we have a new season coming, however long we get it. So, so that being said, our summer hours, which September is still summer for us here in Florida, we are open from 4 to 9 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday.
Blow your mind.
We are closed Sunday through Tuesday. We are not going to be starting our Tuesday socials until October, just because we're just not all here back in town yet. We're just here. And then my next announcement is basically this, as you can see on the ticker on your screen. This is our schedule for the Tuesday socials. So the second Tuesday, we're going to be doing, Mystic Husk, which is wine and tarot, wine tasting and tarot. The third Tuesday is out of office, which is women who love wine, not working, not to work, which is a networking, but we're not really supposed to talk about.
They didn't have a full on
And
like.
then the last Tuesday of every month
That
is
one.
gonna be a
So they cater like a
residential
few
for
things,
anyone who
special
survives.
Yeah,
That's
where I had really.
That's the thing, and like I said, they're gonna keep
And
talking
they have like
anyways, so I'm gonna say goodbye.
Good night. Read Spain.
Sorry, we're talking Spain.
That's okay. And good night, and we'll see you guys back here next week. We are going to be doing, Raymond's birthday is next Friday. And he is turning
Hey,
an O birthday,
it's an
right?
O birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big O birthday for him.
7-0.
So it's a big
7-0?
7-0 for him. Yeah, so he's turning 7-0 on Friday. So of course we're gonna give him the week to pick. And he normally is a red wine drinker, so I was actually really shocked that he decided to do lesser known white French wines for his birthday picks.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's what we're doing next week is lesser known white French wines next week.
No Sean, no Sauvignon
No
Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc. Yep. So no Burgundy. No. Well, we will do white Bordeaux, but we will not do red Bordeaux because you already all know red Bordeaux. So, but we'll do possibly a white Bordeaux because he really wanted to do a white Bordeaux. So that would probably be our most like known region.
And some Alsace wine.
And some Alsace, yeah. And then going to also doing some Muscadet as
Yeah,
well, so some Loire. So yeah, so it'll be fun.
of course.
So
No different vibes and
yeah,
yeah.
Like I said, that's our net.
Don't do.
exactly. Lesser known, but fun for us is we like to take you on an adventure with us. So
Keep drinking wine, he's turning 7.
exactly. And that's why he's still here.
And I don't drink water.
Yeah. So
I was
we'll
also
see you
living
all.
in Spain, not a
We'll
lot of
see you
water.
all next week. Thank you very much if you're watching, and we'll see you next week.
There used to be that producer.
Yeah, I didn't do much water.